back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a very interesting case. This is a case of a patient that arrived to the clinic with a main complaint of skin problems, namely psoriasis, but as I was doing her interview and planning the treatment, she also mentioned that she suffered a lot from anxiety. She suffered from insomnia, and she had a number of factors from family to her job that created a lot of anxiety on her life. This might not seem related if you don't think about it in TCM or in Chinese medicine or acupuncture terms, but for us as Chinese medicine practitioners, the skin problems and the anxiety are usually very closely related. If you'd like to learn more about the kind of techniques that I talk about in my videos, don't forget to check out the links in the description. I have courses available both in Portuguese and in English that you can check out below. So I told her that I would try to treat both and see how she felt. So as I was telling you, this is a 45-year-old female patient, and her main complaint was psoriasis. As a secondary complaint, she told me she had anxiety and insomnia. So when I started examining the patient, I started with the tongue, and the main sign we could see on her tongue was that it was trembling. This, as you very well know, is a very usual sign of wind. So I started my diagnosis with signs of wind, which points me towards liver. After that, I went to the pulse, and her pulse was very wiry in the liver position, again coming towards my liver diagnosis. And besides that, we could also see that the pulse was very weak in her lung, which points us as a second affected channel, the lung, which we were already expecting because we know that the lung is responsible for the skin in Chinese medicine. After that, I asked her to show me where her lesions were from the psoriasis. And she showed me that the main area where she had lesions was on her left leg, in the area more or less of spleen 6. She had a very big mark there, which was very red. It actually had some sores along the spot, but it was a fairly large one. So this pointed me to another affected channel, now looking more towards a reasoning of the balance method, which is the spleen because of the location of the injury. And so I decided to plan treatment using as my main guides these 3 affected channels: liver, lungs, and spleen. If you follow me, you know that my treatments are always a mix between balance method and Master Tung Acupuncture, and also some TCM sprinkled around. So that's how I set up this treatment. So let's start building our balance and selecting points. So let's start looking at our treatment. As we saw before, we had 3 affected channels: lung, spleen, and liver. So we know that we're going to include all of these in our treatment. We also know we saw wind, signs of wind in the patient, and we also know that when we have problems affecting lung and liver, generally we have problems with the flow of qi. We get stagnation. So we knew that we wanted to create movement, and don't forget, the main complaint of the patient was the skin, so I wanted to direct my treatment towards the skin problems. So how did I do this? First, I had to do a complete balance, so I knew I had lung, and I had spleen and liver. So I needed at least 2 more channels to finish my balance. What I did here was I added on the opposite side of the lung the large intestine. If you remember, the large intestine will connect both with lung and with liver, so it will be respecting all the principles of the balance method. On the other leg, I already knew I'd have spleen and liver to work with. And on the opposite side, I decided to use the stomach. Stomach, again, will connect to the large intestine and also to the spleen, so all the relationships were covered. The lung will connect both with the large intestine, the spleen, and the liver will connect to the large intestine and the lung, so all the connections were respected. The balance was already completed, but I decided to add still another channel, which was the pericardium, and I added this channel because the patient complained that when she had more anxiety, she felt pressure in her chest, so I wanted to insert the pericardium here to help in this situation. And now let's think about points. From the pericardium, I chose pericardium 6, which is one of my favorite points to treat pressure in the chest. For the lung, I chose lung 5. This point will treat both the lung itself, and it will also give me a combination that is very important that you will see later with the spleen point that will be fantastic to create movements in the chi. And as I told you, we wanted to treat the problems relating to chi stagnation caused by the imbalance between liver and lung. For the large intestine, I decided to use a combination of Master Tung points and classical points. So for Master Tung, I used Lingu and Dabai. These 2 points are located on the large intestine channel. They're great for moving chi, and they also treat wind and balance the liver and the lung, so they're perfect for this treatment. But I also added large intestine 11. I added this point because this point is great to treat heat on the skin, which is what we were seeing with the redness. Going back to the leg, I used spleen 9. This point is the one that I was telling you about that will connect with lung 5 and create movement of qi. This combination comes from Wang Ju Yi, and it's my favorite combination of points to create movement of qi. I also added spleen 3. This will act as a guiding needle because if you remember, the injury was on the spleen channel on the left side, and also liver 3, which will balance liver, regulate its qi flow, and also disperse wind. And I finished on the right leg with the stomach, where instead of using classical TCM points, I used Master Tung points, the 4 horses, 88, 17, 88, 18, and 88, 19. These points are, in my opinion, the best points in Master Tung's system to treat lung and to treat skin. Besides this, I added Yin Tang and Do 20 by Hui to balance the anxiety. This is a treatment that is still ongoing. It started about 2 months ago. We started once a week, and now we're doing 1 session every 2 weeks. The results have been very, very good. The patient says that her anxiety is controlled except when she has something big happening either in her work life or in her family life, but that she can control it easier. She says that her sleep is better, no more insomnia, and all the lesions from the psoriasis are dried up. Even on the first session, we could see some amazing results. Immediately after I put the needles in, the patient reported that she felt that she was calmer, but even more impressive was the result on the psoriasis. As I told you in the beginning of the treatment, the area around spleen 6, it was very red with some injuries around, and a few minutes after the needles were placed, maybe 10-15 minutes, the patient looked at her leg and said, "Oh, I can notice that it's not as red as it was in the beginning." And by the end of the 30 minutes, the skin was almost the same color as the rest of the leg, so all the redness had gone away. This video brings some very important information in my opinion, because Most people already know that acupuncture can help them when we're talking about treating pain, but this is a different kind of application that a lot of people don't know that acupuncture can help them with, either mental health, in this case talking about anxiety and insomnia, and skin problems, in this case talking about psoriasis. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also share it with anyone you know who you think might benefit from this information.